Here's the article that from the school that I was teaching is on there. Down in Stockton.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know the name of the school, it's listed in there.
Linden High School.
Yeah, Linden.
Oh yeah, there you are, you're in the water. And so what's this book?
Yeah. This article here, from here on down, of the Nevada going by.
Okay. So you wanna...
It's up to you whether you want, I thought maybe I was
We'll make a copy of all that, sure.
telling about it. Then when I was reading my book, I said, geez, here's the part that I was telling him about.
Yeah, do you want to repeat that really quick about the Nevada went by so fast, what happened?
Oh,
Okay, for the camera.
is it on now?
Yes.
Okay.
Although I'm working on the lights, but sure.
After they picked me up off the West Virginia, I was asked the coxswain, why did you go by so fast? I almost slipped off that pole that had full of grease and oil. He says, look over on your left, here comes the Nevada. He would have run right over you. So I watched it when it was going by. He was going by about 15 knots. That's pretty fast. They're not supposed to go over 3 knots while they're in the holler. So and it says in there that he increased his speed because the planes are bringing submarines in and other torpedoes in, and he was trying to get by there fast, but they got him before. But the captain was chasing the ship, waving to him, and he just kept going because he and the executive officer were not aboard. It was a first-class quartermaster that got that ship underway.
And what happened when it went by?
Well, after the attack, he was made warrant officer. He was a chief, but he made warrant officer. But I think later in the war, he became an ensign and then went on up the rank. But
what happened when the Nevada went past the Oklahoma?
he wanted to know if I wanted to get aboard. I said no. I said I just got off a ship just like it, and she's not going to make it because she was burning in the bow there.
Oh.
So it was kind of a tough situation. But he was trying to get out of the harbor, and because she was the last ship that came in that night, and so they didn't have her tied up with cables like the rest of them. She still was under power because they didn't give him shore power. That's why he was able to get the ship underway.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it usually takes about 2 to 3 hours to get the boilers and get it steamed up before you could even get it underway. So he was still had the boilers going, so they were using electricity and everything, and he just got up there and backed it out and took off with it.
And so what happened to the Oklahoma?
She turned her upside down, you know. That's when I went over there after I took the, I think I told about they took me to the 1010 dock, and then on the way back, I said I have all the men under number 4 turret. I told them I'd be back, so I stayed with them after they offloaded all the people they picked up from the Oklahoma, and I said, there's the the captain's gig out there, and nobody's in it, it's just floating free. Put me on there and give me a man that could run that engine in there, and we got 2 boats, we can pick up a lot of men. So they gave me an engineer, and we got it underway, and as we was going towards West Virginia, the Japanese dropped a 1,000-pound bomb right down number 1 turret and blew up. The gig I was on, it just jumped 6 feet in the air and plopped back in the water. I was still going, and we just went right toward the Arizona. Well, on the way over again, there were so many men in the water from the explosion on the Arizona we picked up those that we were alive there in the water, and then we went to the Oklahoma, to the West Virginia, and I put the bow right up on the quarterdeck and got all those men back into the boat. We couldn't get off because I went too far up in the quarterdeck, so I said, you have to get off and push us off so we could get in the water so we could get underway. So about a dozen men got out, we pushed it off. I said, okay, I got the screw in the water, we can back out. They jumped in, then I went over to the Oklahoma and picked up men there because they were full of water. I mean, fire, and the oil was all over them. So I picked up so many men that the boat was beginning to take on water. I said, I can't take any more. So it was coming over the gunnels. It was overloaded. So I told him, I can't take any more. So I had my lines that were tying up, and I said, well, put them out. And some of you guys hang on to that line, and I have to go slow enough anyway because the water would come over. We're going to the submarine base, and at that time the planes were still coming in with torpedoes and bombs. They just wanted to make sure they got all the ships real good. And I'm surprised they never did anything to us because the captain's gig was all white. And it was such a target. There were so many men on it, they could have killed all of us that was in that boat, but they never even fired a machine gun at us. They were so interested in getting those torpedoes and bombs in those battleships. So after we got over there, I think I told you that when I offloaded them and I got back out again, there was a young ensign on there with one of these horns, and he said, West Virginia, get back here. I didn't give you permission to leave the dock. So I turned around and we came right back, and I got off the ship, off the boat, and I went to the ensign. I said, what's your problem? He says, I didn't give you permission to leave the dock. And I says, why did you stop me? He says, you didn't have a hat on, your uniform is full of oil, and you can't be a coxswain of the captain's gig. You have to have a hat on and a clean uniform. And I grabbed him by the front coat and I shook him and I says, this is a war. He says, I thought this was a drill. He said, that's the most fantastic drill I've ever seen. I says, I'm going to dump you in the drink and wake you up. And he took his .45 out and he says, I can't swim. And I said, how did you ever get in the Navy? He says, well, I had somebody swim for me. So he was a college, he never went to the academy. Right from the college, they made him an ensign, and he was only there for a week. So he knew enough that you had to be in have a hat on and uniforms, and he was just doing what he was told. But anyway, he says, I'm going to put you on a report for insubordination to an officer. And he called a first-class torpedo man over and he says, take this man up to the chief officer up there and tell him he's going to report. So I got up there, the chief said, what's your trouble? I says, well, I told him what happened, and he says, he stopped me from going back out and rescuing the men. I says, I got so upset that I grabbed him by the waist collar and I was going to drop him in the drink. And he said, you should have done it. Well, I said, with holding the .45 on me, I wasn't going to do that. So anyway, he called on the phone and talked to the lieutenant there, and he said, get somebody down there to relieve that ensign down there. He doesn't know what's happening. So one night, told me to go back and get a shower, and when I came back, and they had a lot of uniforms they pick up if you leave your uniforms out during the day and you don't put them in the locker, they go to the lucky bag. So there was a lot of uniforms there, and I said, well, I can't find one my rate. He said, take anyone that'll fit you. So I put on the second-class torpedo man's rate. But when I was doing it, blood was coming down the back of my back. So I knew I got hit with a piece of shrapnel, but for some reason it didn't bother me. I'm still alive, but it was bleeding pretty bad. And he says, called the pharmacist maid that was there, and he said, take a look at this man's neck and find out what's there. And he told me to sit down, and he got a pair of tweezers and he pulled that piece of shrapnel out of my neck. And he says, it's not very bad. He says, it went through your collar and through the neckerchief, so that stopped it. So it was just bedded it right in my neck, but it was bleeding enough. And he says, do you feel all right? I says, I feel fine. I want to get back out there. So he put a bandage on me, and he put my second-class torpedo one on. Went down below there again and asked, where's my gig at? And he says, we had to send it over to have it refueled because they had a big party that Saturday night, and they were using the gig to take the officers back to their ship after the party, and they didn't have enough fuel in it. I just had enough fuel to get over to the subbase, and if I had taken it out, I'd probably been lost out there. So anyway, you want to know what my rate was, and I said I'm a third-class shipfitter. And he said, well, they want you over the receiving station. He says, I'll get you over there. So they put me in another boat and took me to the receiving station. And when I got there, Lieutenant White was from the West Virginia, and he was more or less trying to check all the men that were still alive from the West Virginia. And he says, Chapman, I want you to go back to the West Virginia. She's still afloat. The water is down about waist deep on the first deck. And he says, I want you to get your cutting torch and your equipment and go over to the Oklahoma. We need to cut some holes in the bottom and get those men out of the ship because it's upside down. And most men are still entrapped inside the ship and they can't get out. So they were heading for the engine rooms and boiler rooms, and they had voids in there. They were opened up and they were going to have admiral inspection, so all the plates going to the voids were opened. So when the men were looking up and they find a hole, they got up into those voids. And when they got up there, the water was not up to the bottom. There was enough airspace in there they could breathe. So when I got aboard the Arizona, there was a young ensign up there, and I said, geez, I'm going to have trouble with this guy too. And I said, where do you want me to cut? And he says, right here. I said, well, this is an oil tank. And he says, how do you know that? I said, because I came off the West Virginia and see those big valves on the side there. There's 6 valves, and you can see them in every one. There's a valve. Those are voids. And the men are trapped in those voids, or they're trapped in the engine rooms or the boiler rooms. And he says, in this case, they're trapped in a void. So I said, this is where they're at. And I tapped it, and I could hear her tapping on the bottom of the ship. So I said, as soon as I get some